Welcome everyone. I'm Will McNally. I'm an associate with Paul Weiss,
And I'm Emily Yon. I'm the director of the Low Income Taxpayer Clinic at Georgia State University.
and we are the co-heads of this year's Law Student Tax Challenge, and we're really excited to have you with us. Today is supposed to just be an informational call to let you know what's going on and let you meet some prior participants and coaches, and hopefully convince you that this is the year that you should be writing on and potentially arguing and having all the good times that we've had doing this. Unless Emily, is there anything else you want to say?
No, just I guess the point of the call. So we have some students that have participated in previous years, and so they will be talking about their experience, some of the benefits of participating, and then what you can expect.
What it is, it's essentially like the closest thing you get to a moot court, but for tax. The first round is going to be a written competition where if you participate in the JD round, you do the JD problem, or if you're in the LLM round, the LLM problem, and you write a memo to a law firm partner on the issues presented, and then a letter to the client in more plain English, explaining it much more succinctly. And then if you're one of the winners of that round, you'll move on to the oral round where you'll be taken out to the ABA mid-year meeting this year in San Diego, a nice sunny location. And you'll participate in an oral round where we usually have distinguished practitioners and tax court judges and other fun folks judge your presentation skills. And the winner of that's the winner of the competition.
So I see here on the screen Rachel Lang. So she took part last year in the JD challenge and was one part of the winning team. So if you don't mind, can you just get us kicked off with about your experience?
Sure. So can everyone hear me okay? If I can get like a awesome. So my name is Rachel Lang. I was a student at Western New England School of Law in Springfield, Massachusetts, and I participated in a two-person JD team at last year's tax challenge, and we took home national championship for the school. I was coming in with an interest in tax, but I will say was not a tax head. I don't have experience. I hadn't done any practical experience in tax. And so this was kind of my challenge to myself to see if it was something that I really could dig my teeth into. And that's kind of the reason why I approached it. And also our coach at our school is a really great member of the tax bar and locally in our area. So I wanted to get more interaction with him one-on-one as a mentor. And in terms of the actual experience, it was exceptional. And I don't just say that because I won. I think it was a really great experience all around in terms of not only getting a free trip to a really cool place, but getting away from your law student brain for a little bit. And many of us are probably doing this close to the time we're going to be graduating. So it was such an incredible moment to get to kind of put your lawyer shoes on before we're really, allowed to give legal advice. But all of a sudden now you can give legal advice because you've got these fictitious clients and your fictitious partners that you have to answer to. And so I really enjoyed, I think that was my favorite part, hands down, of the experience, getting to put that hat on before we have to necessarily put it on truly as ourselves, and getting to experience and practice who do I want to be as an attorney? How do I want to approach my clients and my partners and supervisors, and getting to kind of play that role for the day, I think was the best part of my experience.
And can you just, I know you kind of mentioned, but what tax classes had you taken before you completed the problem or started the problem?
I had only taken our income tax course at Western New England. I had not taken any other tax law. I started to dabble briefly in a little bit of tax protections in an elder law course, but otherwise I had not touched tax before this challenge.
Okay, so that's just kind of to reiterate the point. If you are doing the JD problem, you don't have to have taken all of the advanced tax classes. Your intro to tax class really will give you the sufficient information to kind of direct your research from there. So just
Can I
kind of,
jump in on something really
oh,
quick
yes,
too on
please.
that? I think the challenge is going to be targeted, and obviously we don't know, or I think the problem may be up, but we can't
It's been
discuss.
released. you.
So it is targeted, so it gives you that experience to jump into the advanced level on a very particular topic, and you can concentrate. So don't let it scare you away if you don't feel like you know everything about tax law. I mean, you're going to meet attorneys who've been doing this for decades who'll say, I don't even know everything about tax law. So just definitely don't let that scare you.
And did you and your teammate, was there like a particular approach you took that you thought was helpful? Yeah.
Dividing and conquering was absolutely the name of the game. Communication, 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 you know, make sure your partners know, hey, this week I'm extra bogged down, or I've got a group project, or I've got my moot court, you know, we've got court that week, so I can't do this or that. Split it up and teach each other. I think that was something my teammate and I really made good use of, was splitting up the actual targeted questions and not necessarily having to learn everything individually. And then we just taught each other as we went on so that we could help each other if there was a question or something that bounced back at us that we weren't sure about, but really trusting in each other to handle different parts of the challenge and then just work together as a team in that way.
Thank you.
And was it fun?
It was so fun. And I say this as a theater major, an undergrad, so I may be biased, but you know, and that's actually, I know we had some questions that were framed to us in advance, and one of them was, you know, like what's this secret, you know, so to speak, or whatever. And it would be, is remember you're the attorney that day. You're not a law student. When you walk into that section meeting, you're really this fictitious attorney, but you're a real fake attorney that day. So portraying and experiencing it and living that day as an attorney was just so fun, because if you screw up, the client's not real. So there's really no harm, no foul. So why not just absolutely throw yourself into it and try to have as much fun with it as you can.
And we also have James Whippo, and you are the LLM first place, a part of the first place team. So what were your thoughts?
Sure. So just a peek behind the curtain here. I've been given a list of questions, so I'm just going to go through those and respond to them. So the first part's an intro. I'm James Whippo. I was part of the winning team for the LLM division last year. Now I'm an associate at Jones Day in DC in tax. So what impact has winning had? I think it definitely was a confidence boost during the LLM program. Something to talk about during interviews and things like that. Just participating gave me a nice deep dive into last year's problem dealt with partnership tax, at least the half that I handled. And that was very helpful in going through both regular partnership tax and advanced partnership tax. It made the class actually pretty easy, at least in the first part. What's one thing you did that you'd recommend to the applicants? As Rachel touched on, divide and conquer with the problem. We split it down the middle. So my partner did the first half and I did the second half. But I will caution you in doing that. We had a bit of a problem where the first part of the question played heavily into the second part, and I didn't do any of the first part. So I sort of answered a question in a way that I wouldn't have if I had done the research for the first half. So just make sure you're bridging the gap appropriately and talking things over with your counterpart when you're answering the question. How did you and your teammate approach item writing? Oh, I guess I just answered that. We split it down the middle, but again, I caution about the gap. Why would you encourage students to participate? Well, for this year, if you advance to the second round, you get a free trip to San Diego, which is awesome. And to attend the ABA tax section meeting, which is also a tremendous opportunity. I think that makes it worth it in and of itself. It's a fantastic networking opportunity. I think one thing that drew me to tax in particular is how actually helpful and nice everyone in tax is. Like shockingly so as compared to maybe some different types of practices. And you'll really experience that at the ABA tax section meeting. And then the whole process of competing gets you familiar with a tax problem outside of the classroom context. So you get to kind of apply different things that you've learned all to the solving a problem, creating a written product, and then defending, sort of answering the written product in front of a panel of experts. So that whole process is just tremendously rewarding. And then best practices or advice before the on-site competition and oral rounds. For the oral rounds, we just practiced it over and over, timed it, tried to anticipate problems, and then that all goes completely out the window as soon as the panel starts talking to you. So, but the value is in the preparation itself. So the more you prepare, the more flexible you can be when you're getting asked questions. And then it's kind of you have to figure out how to relax however you do that right before you right before you go in front of the panel, which is like different for everybody and kind of impossible to articulate how to do that. But you got to figure out how to relax before you go in there. And that was the last question.
I'm going to put the same question to you. Was it fun?
Oh yeah, it was fun. I think the oral round was more fun, for sure. So it's your incentive to do well in the written part of the competition. It's the ticket.
And there's something in there that I wanted to piggyback on, which is the value of the two different written work products you do. In law school, you guys are usually writing very formal legal writing, right? But when you get into practice, your client needs you to translate that very formal writing into a very understandable work product. And that's something I didn't get a ton of in law school. And so something I did not appreciate when I was doing the tax challenge, but now that I'm on the other side, very much do appreciate, is the practical element of the written work product for the client, the much shorter, plain language explanation. That is a skill that I did not develop basically anywhere else during law school. So I was greatly appreciative after the fact for that little bit of practice. Another aspect of this is coaches. You're not required to have a coach, but you are allowed to. And speaking of networking, which came up along the way, it's an excellent opportunity to build a relationship with either a law school professor or a local practitioner. There are lots of people in the tax section and otherwise who are really invested in bringing up the next generation of tax lawyers. And you can if you get one of them as your coach, they are able to, help you along the way, give you guidance, review your work, and you can really build a relationship with someone who you might not have had a structure under which to build a relationship before then. So as you're thinking about this, I highly encourage you to talk to your tax professors and talk to local practitioners. If you can go to ABA events, try to go there and meet some people and try to find someone to be your coach, because it's only going to make your life easier and you're only going to get more out of the problem for having done it. There was one other thing we should mention. Oh, you know how you guys have test banks for your law school classes where you can see the professor and what did well in their classes? Well, guess what? You can see last year's problem, the year before, and the year before on the ABA tax section website, and you can see the winning problems for the JD and the LLM section. So don't think that you're doing this from scratch. You can see what's been successful before it and learn to imitate that. You can see James and Rachel's work and go, haha, I'm going to do what they did. So just another way to make your life a little easier in this process. If you need help, if you need ideas on how to talk to coaches, go ahead and reach out to either Emily or I, and we're happy to give you ideas on how to approach that conversation. I think our web emails are available online, but I'll also throw mine in the chat if it makes your life easier.
And then Genevieve put in the link or in the chat the link to the Law Student Tax Challenge, where you can check out the prior year problems and the winning writing entries. And it looks like they also have some of the oral round videos up there as well. We have a great question that I'm sure someone has the answer to.
So the
Sure.
question is,
I can answer that. So this is staff. So there's no approval process for coaching. You don't have to like submit to us anything. Coaches get invited to attend the meeting. We comp their registration, but there's no vetting process that you have to go through. They do have to be a faculty member of the school or affiliated, I believe. I have to double check the rules. It's in the rules. If you look at it, it'll specify who can be a coach. I hope that helps.
and if the rules aren't clear, please feel free to follow up with Emily or I, and we can look into it further. Jake asked, can a JD student participate in the LLM problem, or do you need to be an LLM student? Correct me if I'm wrong, Genevieve. I believe you're allowed to go up, but not down.
Yes, team members must be matriculated and in it is. So yes, you can be a current JD student, but have not previously earned an LLM or other advanced degree in tax. So theoretically, yes, the LLM problems do tend to be more advanced and harder. So if you're a JD student, we recommend doing the JD program unless you're a previous winner. You would not be eligible, but yes, you theoretically could. I have to double check the rules. I don't think you can do both at the same time, though. That's not allowed, I don't think.
You have to pick one over the other. And again, the problems are designed based on for a JD, a student who's taken introductory tax, and for an LLM, someone who's taking first semester LLM courses. So just keep that in mind in determining whether or not it's the correct difficulty for you.
Do we have any other questions? James and Rachel, any other parting words of wisdom or encouragement?
The only thing I'd want to say is I never kept my palms from sweating the entire time. So I know James is absolutely right. You have to have some sort of breathing, some sort of ritual, something to keep yourself centered, but don't feel like, maybe this isn't a place for me because I'm not X or I can't do Y. This is really like your grounds to try anything in tax. If you even think remotely this is something of interest to you, as James said, the community is so welcoming that you will feel like you will drop that imposter syndrome, and it feels so good once you've gotten there. And it will still be scary because it is scary. I mean, what we're going to do for a living is scary. So that never really goes out the window, but just if I can definitely say you're in the right place, you're in the right room, and just give it a try.
I guess for the second round, we were allowed like a deliverable, something for the panel that we could print out and give to them. I would put some effort into that. I have no idea why we won, but I'll say my partner did most of the work with the deliverable, and he did a fantastic job, and I'm sure that was helpful, and it was another look at the material, condensing it down again. So I'm sure that was helpful in answering the questions while we were on the panel.
We got a technical question from Jake. How many teams entered the competition last year? Genevieve, Haley, do you know that off the top of your head?
I want to say, I think it was about 16 LLM teams and almost 80 JD teams, I believe. So it is a competition. So yes, and at both levels, and the numbers do vary by year, but that's generally what the competition has had for the last couple of years. And so with that, the top six JD team, or no, top six, right, teams, JD teams, and the top 4 LLM teams advance to the in-person oral rounds.
It was also just such a fantastic problem last year that we had so many attendees. Sorry, Em and I wrote the problem.
Fun, right? Yeah, Will wrote the did the LLM, and I co-wrote the JD one, so we're maybe a little biased.
Alice, it's 4 teams make it into the oral competition each year for LLM.
For the L.
Any other questions? Again, if things come up later, always feel free to email us, but if you have any now.
Then I'm going to give one last shout out, which is you guys are going to be graduating soon enough. And when you do, you should think about joining the ABA tax section, the law student forum, or sorry, the young lawyer forum, who actually puts together this whole competition. And maybe you guys can be the ones writing the problem and organizing this problem in a year or two. We look forward to seeing you then, and we look forward to seeing all your written work products and watching you go on to success.
Yes, thank you for being here.
All right, y'all. Have a good one.